What's up, everybody? This is the Aztec Warrior, Alex Cruz, and I'm drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody, welcome to Drinkin at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good shit, because that YouTube algorithm is a pain in the ass. We are most places you can find your audio podcast too. And, I'm going to have to wait to post about recording with my guest tonight, because as of this moment, for some reason, I'm in Facebook jail on my podcast Facebook page. But anyways, the Aztec Warrior, Alex Cruz. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Another day alive, another day blessed. So I'm good.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely say the same for myself. Had some pretty cool wrestling-related things happen lately. I was at Sami Callihan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver, at their last show, and got the Grizzled Young Veterans to do a hype video for the channels. And I got some solid leads on some pretty big people, so can't complain. And that night was just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a blast.
Oh, yeah. Definitely got to meet some of my favorites, including somebody that I have a feeling we'll talk about a little later. But first thing I like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make the leap into the business?
Yeah, so started when I was about 3 years old. My grandmother, to be of all people, my grandmother, my Hispanic grandmother. So used to always watch WCW religiously, would watch WWE, but when I started watching it at first, it was WCW. That's what I was watching. I mean, back in, when I was 3, I was like little, but my first memories of it, I was probably about like 5, 6. So now we're talking 95 and 96. So when I started watching it, saw a guy with some white face paint, and we're starting to talk about Sting and Rey Mysterio, and I remember Hulk Hogan. So those were like the big 3 for me. Rey Mysterio, when he first started in WCW, obviously I saw Sting and Hulk Hogan were the 3 that just captivated me, and I have never looked back since. And then what got me to make the jump was just that dream that I feel like wrestling was just something that I've always wanted to do. You just get to be someone larger than life and be a character, just some form of yourself. And I wanted to feel it. I wanted to know what it was like. And after battling with I wasn't big enough, or feeling that I was too small at the time, it actually wasn't until I was 24 in 2014 when I decided to start training, because at that point in my life I felt, okay, I got a little bit of weight, got a little size, let me give it a shot, and rest was history at that point.
Oh yeah, and that's awesome. I know not everybody gets started at an age like, let's say, Billy Starks, where she's just a young phenom right now.
Right.
You get people in there that tend to, start a little later for whatever reason. But interesting thing here, you mentioned, I didn't realize this putting my notes together, but when you mentioned starting training at the age of 24, one thing that you and I have in common, both having served in the military, you, correct me if I'm wrong, still are. And I went into boot camp when I was 24.
Wow. Okay.
And,
Okay.
and actually had my 25th birthday at boot camp. Talk about worst birthday ever.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah, and you're absolutely correct. I'm currently active duty in the Army National Guard. I'm a recruiter, so it's very cool. I enlisted in 2010, so I was 20 years old. Again, everything I kind of did everything a little bit, just a little bit out of the norm. Not 17, not 18. I kind of waited a little bit, and I enlisted in 2010. I got out in 2018 to kind of focus a little bit more on wrestling, and then I re-enlisted in 2020. And haven't looked back since. And I think in January I'm eligible. I'm within my 90-day ETS window, which for people who don't know, that's basically your contract where it's about to run out. So you got 90 days until you're done. And I'm planning on re-enlisting for another 6 and still staying in recruiting and active duty, and riding this thing out, riding the wave.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. And you're riding the wave. Me, Navy veteran, so riding the waves, definitely did my share of that. Yeah. And serving on a destroyer, and let's just say there's a reason they nicknamed those things wall walkers.
Right. Yep.
I've definitely been in my fair share of seas where I was basically walking on them damn walls.
Yeah. yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What was your MOS, if you don't mind? Kind of shifting off track.
Well, we'll get into wrestling again. I haven't had too many times where I've actually had fellow veterans that are wrestlers as well on. So, lots of stuff to talk about here. But my MOS, I guess, Navy does it a little differently. We don't really have the numbers. They tried that for a little bit.
Right.
But I was a CTT, cryptologic technician.
Okay, cool. And for those of you guys who don't know what MOS, that's military occupational specialty. Just to make sure we throw that in there. But
yeah,
awesome. Very cool.
Make sure we don't confuse anybody. But yeah, people ask me all the time when they ask me about that. Oh, what did you do? And I'm like, well, I had to have a top secret clearance to even have my job, but I can tell you I made sure missiles didn't hit the ship. That's basically all I can tell you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool.
So, yeah, plenty of stories.
Oh, I bet.
Including deployment. And we were in Bahrain. There were some technical difficulties. And I saw an advertisement for Tech 9 was going to be doing a show in Bahrain. And we ended up getting the damn thing fixed and left like a day before he was going to be there.
Oh, man. Okay. Dang.
But yeah, I was like, mother.
Right. Yeah. Man.
Yep, plenty of memories. That could be a whole nother damn podcast.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. I got 11 years worth, so I'm making 12 next year, so we'll see.
Yeah, I only did my 4.
Okay. Yeah.
I about re-enlisted, but then I basically figured I had done all the goals that I had set. I achieved every goal I set forth when I enlisted. And in the Navy, at least, it's not an automatic thing when you want to re-enlist. You have to go through these 2 committees, and then you have to get approved by both to re-enlist. If you get denied by even one, you get sent home.
Oh, so man, wow. Okay.
I was like, you know what? I accomplished everything I wanted to. I'm good.
Man, Unreal.
Yeah, but hey, I got no complaints. I enjoyed my time.
Absolutely. Hey, you were part of the 1% that serves. So hey, thank you for your service, and hey, you did your part. So
thank you for yours too.
Yeah.
So
enjoying it.
Oh yeah. Now getting back into wrestling here.
Yeah.
Although kind of keeping the military thing in here, how do you feel that the military kind of prepared you for getting into the business?
Man, so I can't. So I think obviously I was in the military when I started wrestling. So I think the one thing that it definitely helped me with was my confidence, because I was the little nerdy kid that got picked on growing up. Always turned down, picked last in sports, all those things. So when I went through training, I was like, you know what, this can't be harder than the training that we had at boot camp. It can't, like, the amount of pressure that we had there, not going to compare to professional wrestling. And it didn't. Even though wrestling training is hard, very hard, it's a whole different type of pressure. But the amount of heat on military boot camp, because it's bar none, you can't compare. So I think it definitely helped me on a confidence aspect, and just like physically and mentally tough type thing. But I think it took me getting out of the military and then getting back in. So I'm sure we'll hit it at, down in the conversation shortly. But, I took about almost a 4-year hiatus from professional wrestling. And I think stepping away from that, growing up and maturing, and then getting back in the military in that time put me in a whole different headspace, to where now that I'm back, my perspective, my mentality, my mindset, my professionalism, picking and choosing my battles, all of that just played a huge effect into where I'm at today. So I think the military prepared me for professional wrestling on the physically and mentally tough aspect, but it's done wonders after stepping away from wrestling and getting back into it, to where now I have a whole different perspective and outlook, which is making this a lot more enjoyable and just a lot easier to kind of get through.
I can understand. I know for myself, very much kind of similar. Growing up, yeah, I was very much the bullied kid. The sports, yeah, I played them, but let's just say I had times where the coaches thought I was taking a nap on the bus, and then I heard them talking crap about me. But that's a whole nother story. But getting into the military, yeah, before it, you probably never would have thought in a million years I'd be doing something like I'm doing right now with this podcast. But, the one thing I know the military taught me was you're not going to be getting anywhere if you're being too damn shy. So it beat the shyness out of me pretty damn quick. But then, getting into, the podcast here, man, I just remember one day had this idea, started off with some of my friends in the business that are here locally. But then when I got to that point where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start running out of people way quicker than I wanted to. Right. And then I just ended up, I think it was the SATs. They had liked something on Twitter, and then I'm like, this might be a long shot, but nah, let's see if it goes. And then boom. Now, after this week, I'm about 4 or 5 shy of 200 episodes.
Wow. Heck yeah.
Like recorded and put together, but not released yet. But yeah, I am just shy of 200 episodes.
Wow. Almost there. Almost there.
That's what I'm pushing pretty damn hard.
I bet.
Damn hard. Good Lord. I just had just yesterday a guy making some waves right now in Texas, but Brick Savage. He had the viral clip not long ago where I even joked with him about it, where I said he reminded me of the Hulk from Avengers with Loki, where he was just whipping the guy by his leg. There's a clip that went viral where he literally looked like he just picked a guy up and wham by his leg.
Wow. Yeah, if it was before September of 2023, I was still off the grid. You know, I just got back into it in September, so I'm still catching up with like what are some of the top promotions. You know, who are some of the up and coming younger guys? I still see some familiar faces. So you know, I'm getting back into the swing of things, which has been pretty cool. So
got you, but yeah, that's why when you brought that up with what the military got you with getting into wrestling, it's like, you know what? It was kind of similar for me with the podcast. But now coming up, as of recording, this will be released later, but there is a Christmas Chaos Open Challenge for SWA.
yeah.
And I was like, you know what? The words in wrestling open challenge are kind of getting thrown around a lot. But
Right.
you have me curious here because the Southeast in wrestling has had a very storied history. I mean, going back before, you know,
Mid-South,
Georgia
yeah.
Championship Wrestling in Florida, going into WCW. Now, here, it's like, okay, the Southeast has got some talent, so let's see who's going to step up for this.
Yeah. Did you watch the promo by any chance? Is that
I did, yes.
okay? Cool, yeah. Yeah. So apparently, I right before I got on this, because I was trying to get my wrestling messenger open, which it wasn't happening. I saw that the challenge has been accepted, and by who, I saw who it was. Now I've been so. Let's start with what you were talking about. So yes, I think that the South and the Gulf Coast has been producing a lot of talent over the last few years. I'm always going to throw his name out first because it's my brother. We started around the same time, traveled the world, the country together. Ray Fury. If you don't know the name, somebody that you should know, he's been nonstop, and he just it looks like he's about to get signed or has been. Well, I'm not going to put those words out, but he was listed on the NWA roster page, which is awesome.
I saw that post. Yeah.
So excited for him. And so he's one of the better ones, I think, from that area. Braxton Hunter is the guy that came up with out of our school, which he's been doing great things. Vladimir Koloff is another guy who's been making waves. There's a lot of talent that's coming up in that area. So yeah, I think in certain aspects, in certain parts of the coast, in certain areas, there's definitely up and coming potential talent and guys that are established like Ray and Brax and Lucha LaCura, another one out there that he's a veteran, but he's established. Benjamin Woods, another veteran, but he's out in that area too. But guys that are carrying the torch out there, you know, and I've been talking about like, hey, I stepped away from the scene because I needed to. But now that I'm back, I plan on reclaiming my throne, as like I've been saying, you know, and my promos have been a lot different than what they were in the past. It's not a heel thing. It's not a baby thing. It's just reality, you know, and I'm going to call it straight how it is. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat things, you know, like, yes, I come out as a baby face. Yes, I have genuine intentions. Like, I truly love what I do, but I believe in myself. Back to the military mindset. I feel like I'm better equipped and trained on a lot of levels that I'm not gonna accept defeat by somebody I don't feel can step up and do that. And it goes to my open challenge. It's been accepted. I haven't heard of the guy prior to leaving. I've seen his picture around, so maybe I don't know. Maybe he wasn't wrestling a lot in the territory, but Van Vicious, that's the guy who accepted the challenge. So I look at it and I'm like, okay, not phased. Genuinely not phased. So I plan on, again, this is going to be released hopefully soon, whatnot. But this Saturday, December 16th, I plan on walking in and having a pretty, I'm not going to say a simple night, but I plan on going in there looking for a fight, and I plan on coming out victorious. I don't see another option. I am ready to rock and roll, and I'm ready to reclaim that SWA title because I was able to take it across the country and defend it in plenty of places. And I'm ready to get back on the grid. I'm ready for people to take notice that I am still one of the best talents in the South. I was a freelancer. I left my original training school where I started because I believed that there was more, and I wanted to push myself, and I built myself from the ground up with the help of the guys who really took me under their wing, which was Benjamin Wood and Lucha Lacura, and even Serpentico. He's another guy that mentally just educated me, and we worked together so much that I just had a lot of mentors that helped build me up. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited about the Open Challenge. It wasn't my idea. They felt like this was the best route to go. So I just, at this point, I just feel bad for whoever is going to be put across for me, because if they don't come in ready to fight, I'm going to light them up, and I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to fight. Like, it's just, this isn't things you can plan for. I had a match a couple of weeks ago, and the guy decided to chop me. I'm like, okay, and I cranked him back, and we just went back and forth until we decided to move forward. Like I'm just not. I'm not about the gimmicks right now. This isn't about gimmicks. This isn't about rainbows. This isn't about butterflies. Like, I am me, and the Aztec Warrior, the soldier, the all of that. It's all in the name. Aztec is because I'm Hispanic, and then Warrior is because I believe that I am that. But then again, soldier is a warrior. So it's all we're doing is taking my background and what I am and creating a character and a person. But guess what? I'm not a character. That's just me with color behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what they say. Not to interrupt you. That's what they say makes some of the best character or in-ring personas is basically just that person with the color behind them, turned up to 11, as they say.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because before I used to always think in my mind, because now when I wrestle, it's all about what story can I tell, how intense can we make it, how can we deliver something that makes sense, and everything for me, it's all about that crowd interaction, because now it's about just working the crowd and keeping them involved. It's not about the moves anymore. I'm not trying to freaking do a bunch of high spots and put my body like I used to, because I'm a little bit older now, and I'm 33, but I've been around enough to just know if the juice is worth the squeeze, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, like, I do agree with you there. It is about just that how can you take your wrestling persona and just mix it with who you are, because gimmicks are cool, but at some point you hit a kind of like a rough patch, and just it gets dried up to an extent, but like I'm excited, and I feel like before I used to think of, oh, how do I make my promos work with this power of the gods and the Aztecs, whatever. No, not anymore. I've been out enough to where I've studied and I continue to watch wrestling because I love it. And when I came back, I was like, I know which route I'm going to go. I know who I am. I have a unique look just as a person. But now my promos are just going to be straight to the point. We'll make things work. But like I tell everybody, I'm going to beat you up. And I'm like, please beat me. If you're going to beat me, if you are going to beat me, and if that happens, make it believable and beat me. Beat me. It's just like I need to like beat me. Because at the end of the day, wrestling is now on a bigger spectrum, because you got to think about wrestling like 10 years ago, okay? And now we're talking about 2013 or whatnot. In WWE, there was a lot of good stuff still going on in a sense, but UFC was its own thing, and still 2013 was even in the mid 2000s Attitude Era, there was still a lot of things where guys were protecting themselves a little more. It wasn't as snug, like you see guys, got like haluva kicks, bro kicks, Claymore, certain shots, guys are just leaving their face wide open to get cranked now. Because I think the UFC and the UFC has almost pushed professional wrestling to become a little bit more realistic because fans were catching too much of the misses and the protecting to where it's gotten physical. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? Like, that's what we're going to roll with. You know, wrestling has now become more of a physical sport because the UFC and the believability factor has forced it to that point, because people are always like, oh, wrestling's fake. It's fake. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, guys, elephant in the room. It is predetermined, right? We know this. But the fans don't. When you go to a show, you don't have it. You don't know it. But when you're watching the match for what it is, let's fight. Let's make this thing believable. Like, I'm going to stick you, and I hope that you stick me, you know?
Oh, yeah. And, you know, I always tell people it might be predetermined, but you go take a fall in that ring and tell me that don't hurt. Because I've done it, and yeah, even a simple fall. But when you were talking about, you know, you just beat me, it brought up memories for me of more old school Taz with his whole beat me if you can, survive if I let you.
Yeah.
So that mentality was that was coming up when you were bringing that up there.
Right. And you're absolutely right too, you know, because it's just, man, it's just a different, I feel like we're just at a different era, and I have been able to just utilize a little knowledge, a little wisdom, and really think, you know, and again, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to, you know, expose the business or bury the business, because I'm not, like I said, you know, the elephant in the room. And again, most people who are going to listen to the podcast know it's predetermined. And if I'm not supposed to say that, I'm sorry. But again, other than that, what we do in that ring is 100% physical. There is nothing about that is fake, because I hate that word, because I'm like, dude, you want to get hit in the chest? You want to get kicked in the face? You want to get punched in the neck? You want to take a power bomb, a suplex, something off the top? Your body's going to feel every single bit of it, because we put our bodies on the line. Yep. There's nothing that takes that away from it. So, yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm a huge believer in product brand equity, you know, and personal brand equity. And that's what I meant to say, personal brand equity. So me as a brand and a personal brand, I want to make sure I work hard, I stay in shape, I do everything I need to do to look the part. Because again, you know, like, if someone's going to beat me, like, look like you could do it, you know, and it takes away, you know, like that's like the biggest thing, you know, like, you're not going to see a 150-pound guy suplex a 275-pound man. It's just not happening, you know. It's just, you know, it's a different. You got to take that match and approach a lot differently. So I try to think of myself every time I get in a ring, even if I'm wrestling a bigger guy, like, even I'm 5'9", 195 pounds, right? But I work out hard enough to where my mind is Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, that even if they were a little shorter, they looked strong enough that if you were 250, they were still going to suplex you one way or the other. And that is my mindset. This isn't about being a small 205 live cruiserweight. No. Guess what? My thing is, if I can pick you up, I'm going to toss your ass. I don't care. And I want you to be bigger, because I just want to pick you up even more, because I want to do it, you know? There's some kind of suplex that I can get you in, that I can get you off your feet, you know? And again, if you're too big, then I'm going to chop the tree down. But other than that, if you're within a good range, I'm getting you off your feet. So, and I'm going to die trying, you know? So.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally get it, you know, and hell, the whole metaphor or whatever with you know, going back to Taz mentality, the whole suplex thing got me thinking about that again. I mean, I'm a huge Taz fan. I'll go ahead and say it. But there was another thing when looking up for notes for the show that I was like, huh. And another little thing that we kind of have in common, because I was seeing some shows in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Okay.
And the thing there is with my ship. It was a brand new one, part of the first ever crew of it, and it was being built in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Believe it was Lost Art of Wrestling. Was that?
Yeah.
That was the promotion, and I was like, "Holy moly!" Another little connection there.
Yeah,
I hadn't really thought of Pascagoula in a while.
Right. Yeah, it was very close in that area. Yeah, Lost Art was really cool. Yeah, it's been like I said, I've been easing my way back into it. So I've had so I've been back 1, 2. I had Mucha Lucha in Atlanta. So I've had this is going to be my fourth show since September. And again, because I wanted to do things correctly, I wanted to make sure that I was in good shape, which now I feel about 90% there, and I don't think I'll ever reach 100 because that's just impossible. I got to keep improving, but I think a good 90% is good. And I wanted to just make sure that I can get through everything properly. My first date, my return match was a tag match. Then I had a battle royal in Mucha Lucha, which I was there pretty much the entire time, and we're in the final 4 with Yabo the Clown and Suicide. So we did that, and then then I had my first singles match December 1st over there at Lost Art, and now my return to SWA, which is going to be really cool. And and I feel as confident as ever. When I left that match in December 1st, I was like, I'm ready for December 16th, 100%, like ready to rock. And I'm still working on my cardio, getting things back up. But again, I'm slowing down my pace because I want, I'm not trying to do a high pace fast. I'm going to match you and I'm going to meet you, but I'm not going to try to go and do anything crazy because that's just not me anymore, and I want to do more of just like a little bit more of just, pound for pound type work and a little bit of little strength and a little quickness, it's just kind of just find that good balance and just make it work. So,
I'm going to pause real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we're back. I mentioned before, my wife and I, we help out with the dog rescue, and
Absolutely.
one of our fosters decided to get trapped behind the couch, so I had to go get him. little shit. Anyways, all right, so we are about at the point of the show where that's him right there making up.
There you go.
Yep. This is what I get for having the door to my space where I record open, because he would be making even more noise. But we were at the point of the show where I have 2 categories. One is a bit of a name game where I try to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. And this time, with the both of us having that military background in common, there are a bunch of people, big names in pro wrestling, that have also been in the military. They're also fellow veterans. So this one's going to be along those lines.
Okay.
So I give you the name. You give me some quick thoughts on the person.
Okay.
First one, Bobby Lashley.
Oh man, I mean, he should be his own army himself. I mean, he is. I still can't picture how he was in the military at his size, because even when he enlisted, he was huge. I mean, that guy, I would have just put him on a throne and put him wherever we needed him, like promoted him right away, and like utilize this guy as a tank. Like he could just be a tank. Attach some wheels on him with a gun, he's a tank by himself. So,
most
definitely ideal. Yeah, like he is like the most unrealistic, ideal epitome of a soldier. So
yeah, it's like okay, Marvel looking for somebody for Captain America. They just slap him in there.
Right. Yeah.
All right, next one. A guy that actually followed me on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you want to call it anymore.
Yeah.
But he is the former member of DX, or I guess you could say he's still in it. He is WWE Hall of Famer, the DOGG Road Dog.
Wow. So I actually did not know that he was prior service, which blows my mind. But again, obviously one of the best on the mic, one of the best on the mic. You know, during the Attitude Era. I mean, I absolutely loved watching how quick he was on the mic and just how quick-witted and funny he was. He's another big pioneer out here in the Southern scene. You know, so many people just built off of his legacy and reputation and the way he's been able to help a lot of the people in the South. So, oh yeah, Road Dogg, legendary, absolute icon. Oh, you didn't know? Apparently, I didn't. So,
oh, you didn't know? Oh God, you know what? I still have that whole. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have that whole thing memorized. And you know what? I actually, little tie-in with him and the show, his former co-host of his podcast, Ryan Katz, who now is working backstage with NXT, I believe still.
Oh.
Former guest of mine. So that was a little interesting, and I got to tell him about having that whole thing still memorized. So cool little connection there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next one. I made a little joke on an opinion show of mine that to treat the like button like you were Kevin Nash doing a jackknife powerbomb, but hey, don't tear your quad while doing it. But we're talking about Kevin Nash right now.
Wow. Wait, he was prior service too? What branch? Do you know?
I can't remember. I can't remember.
One of the most iconic big men of all time. I mean, Big Diesel. You know, I mean, gosh. I mean, Kevin Nash, again, NWO, I mean, forever. NWO, him and friggin' Scott Hall. I mean, he will forever be known as part of the duo that flipped professional wrestling upside down forever. I think the epitome of the Forbidden Door. Yeah, that's you're talking about it. Like they always talk about Chris Jericho, which a legend and icon in himself, but the real Forbidden Door situation was the NWO. So, yeah.
All right, last two here. A guy, teaming along with Bobby Lashley like right now, Montez Ford.
Wow, I mean, you could just tell. Like Bobby Lashley screams off of both of them. That, like the way they're squared away, the way they carry themselves, mannerism. Montez Ford. I'm ready to see someone put a title on him. I mean, that man has all gifts of everything, ability, talk. I mean, born for this.
Oh yeah. Now, last but not least, here, a guy that I had the opportunity to actually get to meet him. And I got something around here autographed by him at Revolver. We're talking about Steve Macklin.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for Flip. But yeah, Steve Macklin too. Yeah, another guy. Yeah, I mean, I personally liked when they did the whole Forbidden Sons thing. I mean, it was so cool because it was guys that evidently did their part. And I mean, hey, that guy was able to take the opportunities he's had and now put himself on a main event scene with Impact. I mean, it's good to see because there's so many guys that don't get that opportunity in some of the bigger corporations and companies. But I mean, guys like that they were just waiting for an opportunity to just put themselves on the map, and he did that. So absolutely, I mean, there is no better feeling than seeing guys who have served and have taken what they learned and just applied it and have excelled, and he's one of those that did that. So, my shout out to Flip Gordon because again, that man, he recently got out probably several years, probably about 4, 5, 6 years ago, something like that. You know, he hung it up, but I mean, class act, hell of a talent, and prior Army as well. So,
oh yeah, definitely can't forget about that. But the thing with Macklin there, I've got to see him live twice. One time, I wanted to say it was against Rich Swann, and this last time here was him, Alex Colon, and Ricky Shane Page versus the Second Gear Crew.
man.
And holy shit. I joke with the Second Gear Crew about their matches might as well be sponsored by Home Depot with the amount of stuff that just gets thrown around, and
Right.
Matthew Justice diving off a scaffold. It was insane.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Now, I have some random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far.
Cool. Spitfire. Let's go.
All right. So I give you the question. Give me the first answer that pops into your head. This first one here, craziest in-match moment for you?
Man, dog collar match and a fire extinguisher.
Okay. that would do it. Would do it. I know I've seen a match that ended with flaming glass.
Ooh.
On top of some metal folding chairs.
Yeah, no, me and Serpentico. Yep, that was probably one of the craziest ones. Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, that would be hard to top. I know. I like to keep that question in here because I just love hearing some of the stories behind it. And yeah, dog collar match and throw yourself a fire extinguisher in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That would be up there.
Yep.
All right, now everybody in wrestling has a dream match. Me, I have some people that would definitely be dream guests for the show. What would you say is a dream match for you that hasn't happened yet?
You know, it's so funny because there's so many opponents that you could pick, and this is gonna be crazy. I hope that I'm maybe one of the first to say it, and if people appreciate this answer, they'll know why. If I could wrestle anybody right now, and I think they talk about dream matches. I mean, obviously, like Rey Mysterio, stuff like that. But if I can wrestle anybody, Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth.
Ooh, and hey. That 90-day non-compete is coming up. That
because
actually happened.
Look, because of how he sells, I try to sell just like he does, over the top, and just because that is the beauty of professional wrestling is selling, and I take so much pride in selling. So, yeah, I like taking those bumps, So, yeah,
I can understand that, and with where I'm hearing rumors of him going, they do allow their talent to take independent bookings.
Right. I know. Maybe one day. I'd love to tell a story there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more feasible now than when, let's say, if he didn't get released. So
correct. Yep.
All right, now I always laugh when people talk about big sums of money, like, oh, you could never spend that.
Right.
But I like to think of it as like, you know what? You give me that much, watch me. So the question here is, if you had what I like to call bucket money, you just had a big sum of money you can do anything with, what is something you would get?
To be honest with you, I would just make sure I have a paid off house and top of the line Ford Bronco. That's it.
Okay. Solid
Yep.
choice. So
Yep.
a sensible choice, having the house paid off and all that.
Yep. That's 33-year-old mine now with a daughter, so that's where it's at.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yep.
All right, now I would feel weird with a name of a show like I have if I didn't have this question in here. Favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic or non, because I always tell people just because it says drinking at Moe's doesn't mean that it has to be alcoholic.
I'll give you three. I'll give you one of each. So I didn't start drinking until I turned 30. So that was 3 years ago. Because of the rockin' and tequila. So favorite non-alcoholic drink, Coke Zero. Favorite just energy drink. I love my like Red Bull watermelon. It's probably one of my favorite ones. Or like Ghost Energy. Favorite alcoholic drink, Tequila Sunset, which I like to call it because basically tequila, orange juice, pineapple juice, and a splash of cranberry juice. So those are my go-tos. So
solid. And you bring up the Rocks Tequila, one of my favorites actually. That Terramana is smooth as hell.
I love it.
You put that stuff in one of those drinks of yours, or in a margarita like I like to have it. You gotta be damn careful because that stuff's so smooth that you put it in there, you can barely tell there's any damn alcohol in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So
then it catches up with you pretty damn quick.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Best advice that I can give anybody, man. So I actually made a long post the other day. So if you haven't I'm gonna have to share it with you. I think I've seen it. Huge thing, and I think the biggest advice I would just say is work extremely hard on yourself. Make sure that mentally you're in a good spot, mentally, financially, and just overall in life, where you know how to prioritize your finances and your job and career. While pursuing professional wrestling, make sure you have somewhat of a foundation for a career and a backup plan in case something doesn't work out, because you still want to be successful in life no matter what, if it doesn't work out or if it does. Because obviously the average millionaire, 7 forms of income. And lastly, in that advice is just make sure to focus on yourself, be kind to others, and try to avoid getting in unnecessary drama, because I was guilty of it, obviously, when I was younger, but there's no sense in it. We're all trying to do the same thing. Like my dad said, if you don't have anything good, don't say it. So just, stay out of the drama, work hard on yourself, and make sure that you are financially and mentally in a good spot. And don't ever neglect your career on the side or some kind of backup plan in case things don't work out. So,
because you never know. Not everybody goes straight to the main event of WrestleMania.
Right.
So.
Or sometimes physically, you can get hurt and never do it again. So, always have a backup plan. Yep.
Definitely. All right. Before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on the Aztec Warrior, they can go ahead and get them there.
Definitely. Facebook and Instagram, all at Alex Cruz Nation. It's going to be AlexCruzNation.
It's all right. We'll get that in the description. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. Best of luck getting out there, getting back out there in the world of wrestling, and I'll be definitely keeping an eye out.
Awesome. Good to talk to you. Thank you so much for having me.